Okay, in this tutorial, we want to solve for the integral of square root of 16 minus x squared divided by x squared. And in order to solve this question, we have to use trig substitution. So we see this form for the numerator, and these are common expressions. And so the expression that looks similar to this is a squared minus x squared. For us, we can say that a is 4 squared. So a is going to be 4. So we will use this expression. So we're going to say that x is equal to 4 sine theta. Therefore, our dx will equal 4 cosine theta d theta. Now, later on, we need to write this in a form to help us out. So we'll say sine theta is equal to x divided by 4. And we will use this later on, but we'll write it out now. And so sine theta equals x divided by 4. So we can say opposite x divided by hypotenuse 4. And since this is a right triangle, we know that this is going to be 4 squared minus x squared. So 16 minus x squared. We're not going to use this right now, but we will use this at the very end typically. Okay, so now what we need to do is replace what we have for x with the new one. So we will do square root 16 minus, so 4 sine theta squared is going to be negative 16 sine squared theta divided by, we plug in 4 here, so we got 16 sine squared theta. And dx is now going to be this. So it's going to be 4 cosine theta d theta. And this will, first we're going to actually factor out the 16 on the numerator. And by doing so, we'll get this. So 1 minus sine squared theta divided by 16 sine squared theta times what we have here, 4 cosine theta d theta. And by doing this, we see a trig identity. So we know that 1 minus sine squared theta will be cosine squared theta. So we'll change it up. So we'll have a square root of 16 cosine squared theta divided by 16 sine squared theta. This term is still on the outside, so times 4 cosine theta d theta. And by doing this, the square root of 16 cosine squared theta would be 4 cosine theta. So we multiply 4 cosine theta times 4 cosine theta, we'll get 16 cosine squared theta. So what we're going to have here is square root of 16 cosine squared theta divided by 16 sine squared theta. We know that cosine theta divided by sine theta is cotangent theta. So for us, we will have now cotangent squared theta, d theta. And so we also now will use another trig identity. So cotangent squared theta is equivalent to cosecant squared theta minus 1 d theta. So let me scroll down a little bit. And now we take the antiderivative. So the antiderivative of cosine squared theta would be negative cotangent theta. And the antiderivative of negative 1 would be negative theta plus the arbitrary c. And now we will use our triangle. So we have cotangent, right? Cotangent is adjacent divided by opposite. So we would have square root of 16 minus x squared divided by opposite, so divided by x. So when we plug that in, we will get negative parentheses the square root of 16 minus x squared divided by x minus, now what's theta? Let me scroll up a little bit again. Theta, we can get theta by this. So we take arc sine to eliminate sine. We do arc sine. So we'll get theta equals arc sine of x divided by 4. Since we already had a negative, it will simply be arc sine x divided by 4. The arbitrary constant c will remain. Oh, let me put a parentheses here. So this is negative, plus c. And this is our final answer. And that's all we need to do.